order this computer. Okay, so this is the chapter 18. So we have come, it's a long journey and you all have been there with us for 18 days. So it's like, we are on the train and now we are getting a stop and we have to get down. So let us smile, and this is not the end of it. So moksha sannyasa yoga, perfection of renunciation. So we have come there. Now we'll find the true key to the happiness. What is Krishna is going to tell us, concluding. So everyone is smiling here. What in the end? Sanjaya, Arjuna, and everyone. Okay. So let us pray to Sri Radha Govinda. Ajnanathimmirandasya nanakashalakaya chakshun mulmitannena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So let us go to this thing. So what did we do yesterday? So yesterday there was an inquiry by Arjuna. He was asking what happens to people if they are not following the scriptures, whatever the Vedic scriptures we are talking, and they are doing their own worship as per their own faith. Okay, as per the thing. So here Krishna answers that it depends on the faith. For faith is talking in the thing, and he describes that faith with respect to three modes of nature. So he says the three modes are the ones which determines one's faith and worship. Okay, and he gives an examples in the foods in the three modes. That is mode of goodness and mode of passion and mode of ignorance. Then the sacrifices, because we will do anything. No, if you want to achieve something, don't we do some sacrifice? We will take some effort and think for long-term happiness. We will try to do a lot of work today and even might have to give up something. So he talks about the sacrifices in the three modes, and then the three kinds of austerities. He talks the austerity of my body, austerity of mind, and austerity of speech. Unnecessary. Then austerity in the three modes he talked. Then charity. But all that he says, it's a Om Tat Sat. That is, Om is the Vishnu. That is the beginning of all the Vedic mantras, and the Vishnu, that is our supreme goal. Okay. And Tatsami is the about our activities for the supreme. That is what we are performing. It should be performed for the supreme. Sat is the performer, who is the eternal. And the objective is to do all the sacrifices, charity, austerity, it should be offered to the Supreme. Om Sat Sat, that's how it concludes in the end. So now, what are we going to talk? It is the freedom from bondage through Karma Yoga. Again, he comes back to Karma Yoga. And then he talks about, Krishna talks about the 5 factors which are controlling the action. And the 3 modes control everything. So, purification through Varnashma Dharma, Brahma platform, confidential knowledge. Finally, he says Brahma Bhuta Saprasanatma. Then pure bhakti, acting in Krishna consciousness, and then conclusion. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. So let us see what is. So actually, this chapter is like a summary. Finally, he summarizes the whole thing. In chapter 2 also we saw the summary, that was like an introductory summary. There he was answering he was trying to clear the doubts of Arjuna that he had, that why he didn't want to fight. That is, he was having compassion. Then he was saying it is all sin, and then and what there won't be any enjoyment nor in the killing them. And also he said there's no enjoyment, no sin. And then he said there will be a loss of tradition. And finally, he was in indecision. He didn't know what to do. So when he surrendered to Krishna and said, "You are my guru, I am a Shishya, you please tell me." Then in chapter 2, he gives the answers for all the 5 doubts he had, and he clears. But then everything was told in one shot. No? So then he starts explaining. So we saw in the first 6 chapters was the Karma Yoga. Then he talked about pure bhakti from chapter 7 to 12. And now from 13 to 18, he's talking about Jnana Yoga. So now in this chapter, it's like a conclusive summary. Okay. So what does Arjuna say? Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasya Mahabhavo Tattvam Ichchami Veditam Tyagasya Cha Rishikesha Pratakshe Shenishu Sudanaha. So what does he say now? Again, he is addressing him as Rishikesha because Keshina, that is the demon Keshina, was there, which Lord Krishna had killer of the Keshi demon. So what does Arjuna say? Oh mighty one, I want to understand the purpose of renunciation, that is Tyaga, and of the renounced order of the sannyasa. Oh killer of the Keshi demon, Krishikesha. So again now, this question of Tyaga and renouncing, that is all the time coming up in our minds. We have to be very clear about this. So this comes in this Tyaga and renounce keeps popping up in all the chapters. In some chapters we are being frequently asked question, whether why all this, let me give up everything and just go away to the forest. That's what keeps coming. So now Arjuna is asking the difference between Tyaga and then what is the sannyas. Okay. So because when we are working in this world, we are always be caught up with the karmic reactions. We saw that because we just attracts that, and it will be, it will be put into a web of complexity. It's not that easy to understand the law of karma. We have been seeing that, right? So now my question, whether renouncing work is a safer path. So that comes to everybody's mind. And here he especially talks about the Keshi demon, because these doubts are like some demons in our mind. It keeps pestering us. Unless we get clarification, we won't be happy about it. So now he is saying what is Tyaga and what is Sannyasa. So Tyaga or Sannyasa, you please tell me. So now what does Bhagavan say? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sannyasam Kavayo Viduho Sarva Karma Pala Tyagam Rahos Tyagam Vichakashanaha. So Supreme Lord said, to give up the results of all activities is called renunciation. That means you have to give up only the Tyaga is what we have to do, only the results. We have to do our duty, but we have to only give up the results of the activities. That is known as Tyaga, that is renunciation. So, by the wise, and that state is called the renounced order of life. That means if you are in that situation, that means you are situated in the situation, that situation is called sannyas by the great learned men. So, renounced order means we have to for Krishna, live for Krishna. Okay, renouncing work is asking for the two words. So performance of activities for results should be given up, but activities leading to advanced spiritual Krishna consciousness are not to be given up. So what we have to do is all our activities should be for Krishna. So, and we should only give up the results, and we should not be think. That's what he keeps telling right from the beginning. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up, but there are yet other sages who maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. So there are people, no, even learner people, no, they also get confused. They think why we should give up in all the activities, kinds of fruitive activities. That's what they also keep thinking. But wow, but that means that is this question is not, this thinking is not. Um, Everyone will come sometime or the other, will always come into this delusion, like confused state. Even learned people also will get in. But what sages say is that we should maintain our acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance. That should never be abandoned. Why? Because that when in doubt, we should ask them. So learned people might get into this confusion, but we should never give up the sacrifice, charity, and penance, which was talked even in chapter 17. No, he said you do everything for Krishna. That is Om Tat Sat. So, yajna dana tapas karma na tayam tyajaham karyam eva tat yajna danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishina. What happens if you do that? Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not given up, but should be performed because they purify our souls. Because activities, we said no in the first 6 chapters also, that activities is required because the mind is all is chanchala and it requires some engagement, and the soul is also all the time active. So we need to have some activities, prescribed activities is required. That by performing them only we will get purified. So here once again Krishna is emphasizing that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to give up because they purify even the great souls. And he says it should. So here he's stressing. See, some things he say that, but some of the things which he tells, no, where he says you should do it. I mean, it should be done. It should be performed. That means there's no doubt about it. We should, and there should be no doubt. That is why he says it should be performed. And all these activities should be performed without any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty. So that is my final opinion. Etani apito karmani sangam tyaktava phalani cha kartavyanti me partha nishchitam matam uttamam. So it is nishchitam. That is should be performed, and that is my final opinion. So we should do our duty, and it should be done without any expectation of results. So is again stressing here should. So what happens if the prescribed duties? You and no, we know that there are three. We depends upon the modes of nature. People are in the ignorance, and there will be an under illusion. So they will never do the prescribed duties. They will never take it up. They will never find it because they don't know what is to be done and what not is to be done. They are under illusion. So, but people who are under passion, for them, no, that is prescribed duties, they will find it very difficult to do. They'll say, it is so difficult, I can't do that. Or they'll be giving reasons for that. And all this, some people will be very scared to do it. If I do, will it be benefiting me? So many things. They'll have some reason for being scared or being taken as difficult. So there are, but people who are in goodness, there are people who are nature, they will do these prescribed duties as their duty. They'll say, this is my duty and I will just do it. They simply do it without anything. So that will be their reason. So so this is the man. So Krishna says we should perform our duties, but we should never I should give up the results. Okay, sacrifice our results. So here there's Almighty Arm Arjuna. Krishna says, I think that there are 5 factors which bring about the accomplishment of all action. These are declared in Sankhya philosophy to be the place of action, the performer, senses, and endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. So now how to understand? So now we said about prescribed duties. Now Krishna is explaining about the duties. And he says how and any action, anything which we do, there are 5 factors. But let us understand what are these 5 factors. Here is an example of a marketplace. Okay. So in a marketplace, there has to be a place of action, no, for any activity. For this selling and buying goods or purchasing or buying or selling, you need a place of action. So there's a marketplace. And then you need a performer. You require a person to sell and also people to buy, right? And the senses, what you need your senses, no, to talk, you're touching the goods, you need to see the thing quality. So you need the senses are also involved in this. And endeavor. So there's an effort to put up stalls, there's an effort to come. Even if you want to buy things, you need money. So you need some endeavor should be there. So endeavor is our point. And ultimately, there should be a super soul. Only if the sanction of the super soul, then this cannot take place. That's why we say there are 5 factors. One is performer, a place of action, performer, senses, endeavor, ultimately the super soul. Okay. So suppose if you think of you want to build a factory or a temple, right? You need a place, no, to construct it. And also you need people to plan it, to work on it, and to think. And of course, there will be a lot of endeavor is there, money is required, and also the senses, no, they have to think, they have to actually work, they have to really listen to it, and they have to plan it out. So you have the place of action, performers, senses, endeavor. Ultimately, you need the super soul. And I think Paramatma's sanction is required. So people who are having false ego, no, they think they are the ones doing the work. They don't realize there are so many other factors also playing part. He is not the only person in any action. In any activity, there will always be these 5 factors which you have to keep in mind. Otherwise, we will be in the mode of passion or ignorance. So people who are in mode of goodness will always realize that he is not the only person who is involved in it. There are other players also, and we have to give due respect to them also. So if we are very proud and not intelligent, then we will always be getting into karmic reaction. So here he is clearly explaining all these 5 factors, and we should also remember that. And this is known as the Sankhya philosophy. So therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are, isn't it? So they are also in the part. So Bhagavad Gita says to give credit to every player involved in the action. That's what he's stressing. So in anything we need to know these are the 5 factors. Okay. Now he's giving another example. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors which motivate action. So what do you mean by that? Now there's a very nice example here. He's got you want to play a basketball game. Okay, that means you should have some knowledge on the game, no? How to play with the basket, how to play with the ball, how to put in. You need to know the rules of the game and everything. And what is the object of knowledge? This is the ball which you have to play. And the knower are you. So the knowledge is in your head, and the ball is your object of knowledge. And the knower is you. So you are the person, rather 3 factors which motivate action. So only if you know these things, you can enter into the game. Then the senses, the work, and the comprise the 3-fold basis of action. So when you get into action, first is these things should be in you. And then when you start doing the work, then you need to have your senses and you have to think. So this is what he explains in any action. So like if you want to go to some place, you have to deliver something, some parcel to somebody in the next city. Then what do? Then you will be planning. You say, okay, tomorrow morning I'll get up, take the car and go. So you know how to go there, the place, that is the knowledge. And then you know that is you have an activity to be done there, isn't it? That means you have to deliver some parcel to somebody. That is the object. And then you are the knower, no? That knowledge is in you how to go, and you are the person who knows it. So everything was being done in your mind. But when you get up in the morning and then actually take the car and go, then that means you're taking the sensors and you're actually doing the work. So the first step is it's in the mind. everything is in the mental. So that is what he says, motivate the action. But it can, if you don't go and take the car and go the next day, that means it stops at the mind level. It doesn't go beyond that. So this is what we understand here. So he's clearly explaining, everything he's analyzing the actions and then the 5 factors. Now he talks about the knowledge, object of knowledge. And then he goes further, more and more detailedly. And there are other slides, there are, you can, based on the category, 1 being the lowest, 3 is the highest, you can mentally rate yourself, right? 3, 2, 1. So he's going to go in depth. Now he's talking about knowledge. In the verses 18.20, 21 and 22, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, he says. That is based on the modes of material knowledge. Here knowledge means not the knowledge we have, say, academic knowledge for the material, the skill work. But here he talks about the vidya is the spiritual knowledge. That is for self-realization, right? So all the thing we have been talking is about that. So that knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existence. That is our Paramatma we see in all. Undivided in the divided is the knowledge in the mode of goodness. So people who are in the mode of goodness, they know where the Paramatma is there in all the, so, and they are the soul, and they are not the body. And there's a super soul in all the bodies and is not. So that is the knowledge with the mode of goodness. But the knowledge by which a different type of living entity is seen to be dwelling in different bodies is the knowledge in the mode of passion. That means people in the passion do not acknowledge much about this, about the super soul and all. They just want to, they'll be in the mode of passion. But the knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be the mode of. That means there are the people who are in the atheist. I mean, there are things who won't bother to know at all, So they just want to, just do some work, satisfy the body, or if they can't satisfy the body also, they no problem. They will just do one thing only. They'll have some activity very much deluded, and so their kind of knowledge, he says, it's in the mode of darkness. Okay, that is 3, 2, 1. So we see our others as we see ourselves, isn't it? How we look at the things. We have these kind of people we can surely see, and we can know how it works. Then there are 3 kinds of actions based on the modes of material nature. He talks in 23, think there are 3 verses. As for actions, that action in accordance with duty, which is performed without attachment, without love or hate by one who has renounced future results, is called action in the mode of goodness. That means the prescribed duties, they do it. They don't look at the results. They offer it to the Supreme, and they renounce, and they don't, without any attachment. That means they are doing the action. That action is in the mode of goodness. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires. See, there are people who have a lot of desires. They want to build a big factory or a big skyscraper, and so they will put in lot of effort, lot of endeavor will be involved, and that is like they want to, it's a sense of false ego, that they want to show off. They want to say that they won't take up any small work. They will take something which is big projects, so that they will get fame and they will get monetary benefits and so many things. So that is enacted in the sense of false ego is called mode of passion. But action performed ignorance and delusion without consideration of future bondage or consequences, which influence inflicts injury and is impractical, is said to be action in the mode of ignorance. So the people in the mode of ignorance, those actions will be like they'll go to the extent of harming other people. They don't mind that. So, and they will be always in the confused state and the thing, and they won't bother about the consequences. Here, at least he wants to get something. He wants to have something. He wants to achieve something. But here he doesn't. Even he will go to the extent of harming people. So that is what they are having the mode of ignorance. So But this we see all around. So this is not something impracticable, but this is what it is going on in this world, and we can see a lot of examples which we see all around us. So now we talked about knowledge, we talked about action. Now he's talking about the workers, how they are in the modes of intelligence. So the worker is free from all the material attachment and false ego, is as enthusiastic, resolute, and is indifferent to success or failure, is a worker in the mode of goodness. That means these people are working in the Krishna consciousness. That's what we say. And they are very enthusiastic because they want to do everything for the Lord. So, and they are determined. And they don't want to bother whether they are going to be success or failure. They are giving all the results to the Lord, isn't it? So they are in the Krishna consciousness, we think, so known as mode of goodness. But there are workers who's attached to the fruits of his labor. That is, why do people involved in big projects? They want money, they want fame. So that is the motivation which is driving them. And the desire to enjoy. They want to enjoy fame, they want to enjoy the assets they get, they want to think. So these are the people who passionately want to enjoy them, who is greedy, envious and impure, and moved by happiness and distress. So when you're working like that, sometimes you'll be happy, sometimes you'll be the anxiety is there, so you'll be in distress. So these people are in the mode of passion, right? But that worker who is always engaged in work against the injunction of the scriptures, who is materialistic, obstinate, they are very stubborn, and they even go to cheat and everything. And like, a person who is working in a casino, right? That is, it's not in the scriptures, no, injunction. So, but they want to cheat and they want to be lazy, they want quick money, they don't want to work hard, and anything, they like to postpone it, and they're very dull, and they don't, very lazy, of course, and they think. So that kind of workers are in the mode of ignorance. So that's what we saw. So these people are in Krishna consciousness, and these people very take big projects because they want money, they want fame, and they want to show up. And these people, example I gave you is a casino, right? So they will live in cheat others and exploiting. So now we talked about knowledge, then actions, then workers. Now he talks about the intellect, the buddhi, which is the buddhi in the modes of nature. Oh, son of, why he's giving all that is these are all there, in the day-to-day life. We do find examples and we do get caught into it. So how our lifestyle should be, that's what he's explaining now. So the concluding thing, he's talking about the prescribed duties and how we are influenced by the modes of nature. So, son of Pratha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done, what should be done, and what should not be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating. That means anything which is for Krishna consciousness and what is not for Krishna, we should have that understanding. That is buddhi. Then if that buddhi is there, then he will be able to establish be in the mode of goodness. But that understanding which cannot distinguish between the religious way of life and the irreligious way. So, like, if you want to go to the temple, you are confused. But the people who are in mode of goodness, they know, yes, I have to go to the temple, nothing. But here, no, he will be dilly-dallying to go to temple or to go to a cinema hall or something like that. So he will always have been in the dual, whether they do it religious way or irreligious, between action that should be done and action that should not be done. That imperfect understanding, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of passion. But here, these kind of people, they have the understanding which considers irreligion to be religion. That means they go in the false way. They think that is the right, and what we are doing, what is being done in the as per the injunction is wrong. So that is kind of mentality they have. Considers irreligion to be religion, a religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion, darkness. So he strives always in the wrong direction. He is in the mode of ignorance. So now he talked about the three type of mentality they have. That is the intelligence, how they are in the different modes of nature. Then determination. So determination is also there, So the people who are in the mode of goodness, their determination is unbreakable, is steadfast by yoga practice, because he is doing abhyasa. His sadhana is so thing, and he will be determined to do that. So he is able to control his mind, life, and the acts of the senses. So they are in the mode of goodness, because he is determined and he has done abhyasa and yoga, vairagya. That is there. But they are determined by each one holds fast to fruitive results. Because now here the motivation is to the result. And also in religion, economic, even they'll do yagnas, no, sacrifices, yagnas they will follow to get some material benefits and economic development, sense gratification. That is the nature of passion, says Arjuna to Arjuna. But that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, illusion, such intelligent determination is in the mode of darkness. So what is he talking about? Dreaming and fearfulness. Here, you might find some people, no, they are very, very scared. Whatever you try to reason out, no, they were not at all going to hear you. But they are very scared to do things. Even if you try to motivate or give some examples or even do with them, help them, because they are determined to be fearful. They are determined to be scared. They'll be determined to lament. That means they want to crib all the time. They want to all the time cry over it. They don't want to take advice from anyone, because they are determined to be that way. So whatever effort one person tries to help them to come out of that, it's not possible, because their determination is in the mode of darkness. We do find such people, isn't it? It's not something fanciful or anything, but we do find people like such people in the life. So that's what, so this is due to abhyasa and vairagya. And these people know they have a lot of motivational talks. We do have such kind of talks, but all that motivational talks is for sense gratification. How to come first, how to reach the goal, how to think, everything. No, they talk only about sense gratification and to the results. But other people are in. So now comes even happiness also. There are three modes. Okay. So Krishna says again, happiness depends on the modes of nature. So that which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization. See, once you come to self-realization, is always Satchit Ananda. You'll be blissful. So is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. So these are people whom we saw, no, who are very determined, who are who don't sacrifice the results, and who will they know what to be done and what is not to be done, because which is favorable for Krishna consciousness and which is not. So, and they also know who the doer is. So all that, so they are the determined. So for them in the beginning, to do the sadhana would have been difficult, but they will do it, because in the end they will be able to get to the stage of self-realization, right? So that is why even if it is difficult in the beginning, their abhyasa, their sadhana, they will continue to do it, because they know in the end they will be able to get, because it awakens one to self-realization, and that is said to be the happiness in the mode of goodness. But that happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be nature of passion. So we know that. See, for example, people know start off it taking to drink. They think, I'll just take a sip and think, and it might taste nicely for them. But in the long run, what happens when they get into that habit, then it will be detrimental to their health itself. So the happiness which is derived from the contact of the senses, it was even explained in chapter 6 also, we saw that. And I think that it will be, which will appear nectar at first, but poison at the end. So it is said to be the nature of passion. So these happinesses is like that. But that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be the nature of ignorance. Okay. So these people, happiness also you can see in the three kinds. I think once someone asked Prabhupada, why your followers are all so happy? Because they see them so cheerful and all that. So then Prabhupada said, it's the process of Krishna consciousness will make people be happy. So this is what Krishna talks about, 3 kinds of happiness. So I don't know how the results you all had. If you are near 18, it's very good. Or if you are near 6, not so great. But near 12, okay, you can pick yourself and get up. So we talked about knowledge, action, workers, intelligence, determination, and happiness, right? In all 3 modes. And what should be done? So what Krishna says that the knowledge is one when they understand that they are divided into innumerable forms, but you should understand though they are undivided, but they are divided. That means you see Paramatma in all the living entities. That is the true knowledge. And if you understand that, you are in the mode of goodness. And O son of Pratha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. So, what is now finally he talks about how we should be steadfast in a Krishna conscious. Now he talks about the yoga ashramas we have, based on the metric. That means all we talked, and we know that there are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. Now he's going to talk on the qualities what they should have. So samodama tapas chaucham shanti harjavam evacha gnanam vijnanam astikam brahma karma swabhavajam. See, there are people who are intellectual, and they think so that that kind of thing we have, but it's not the Daiva Varnashrama which is talking. And now he's talking what the qualities the Brahmanas should have. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. So Brahmanas, we are not talking the people by birth. These are the qualities the Brahmanas should have. Okay, they will be in the mode of goodness. And what is the qualities for the Kshatriyas? Shauryam, Tejo, Ditya, Dakshyam, Yugde Chapi, Apalayanam, Dhanam, Ishvara, Bhavascha, Shastram, Karma, Swabhavaj. That means heroism, power, determination. For them, determined, they should be, Dhairya should be there. And they should have the powerful resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and the leadership. So these are the qualities the Kshatriya should have. Okay. And what should be the Vaishyas? For him, farming, cattle raising, and business are the qualities of the work for Vaishyas. And for Shudras, there is labor and service to the others. So now he's talking about the prescribed duties, what the Brahmanas will have, and what is the qualities they should have. If they have these qualities, then they can take to the intellectual Vedic knowledge, and they're the Shastriyas who can go to the administrative work and to the protection of people. If they have these kind of qualities, and they're the qualities for business, trading, and doing service. So Shastras now tell us about these things. Shastras open our eyes. And by worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, man can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. So whatever stage he is in, whether it's a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or thing, all he has to do is do his duty and worship the Lord, and who is all pervading, and perform his own duty, then he can attain perfection. So this is the basis of Daiva Varnashram, okay, and not as per the birth. And here is a very nice example. So here he says, it's better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. That means we have to do duties as per our nature, not thinking I'll take someone else's duty though because and try to see it, or even though one may perform it imperfectly, you accept another's occupation and perform it, but it's not in your nature. So he says, please do it as per your nature. So what is this example here? This picture tells us. So here we have, these are the living entities who have come for a competition. Who? The bird, monkey, penguin, elephant, fish, seal, and the dog. They have come for a competition. And what the competition, he says, who is the one who first climbs the tree wins the game. So he announces this is the task you should do. Okay. Now the dog is wondering what is this man is telling. He called us for the competition and is giving something which I cannot do, and which is easy having any intelligence. What is he doing? Is a Buddha or what? He's giving me such a thing. That's the thinking of the dog. And what the seal says, my God, why I have come to such a place? Why I come to this competition at all? I rather sink into the ground. That will be the thinking in the mind of the seal. That the fish is so surprised and it is open mouth and gaping. I can't even come out of the water and this man is telling me to climb the tree. What is this man trying to tell us? And then the elephant is thinking, my God, I can go near the tree and by my strength I can even pull out the tree, but climbing the tree is really thing, it will be more destructive. Then penguin says, this I can just hop up around on the thing. How can I climb the tree? And why at all is giving such a task as a competition? But the only people who are happy is the birds and the monkeys because they have the ability. So what we are saying is everyone of us have some ability to do certain things. So we cannot try to compete with someone else. We have to do our own duty, whatever it is. Okay, we can do it imperfectly, but it doesn't matter. So Krishna says, please do your thing, whatever is in your capacity, your nature, and don't try to think because he wants everyone to come back to him. That is his thing. That's why he says, even if you do it imperfectly, no problem. You just do what is in your nature, what is your prescribed duties, and just come back. So in so doing, that's why he can. So Krishna really wants us to come back. That is his thing. He's not telling you to become perfect of something which is not your nature. Right? So one can obtain the results of renunciation simply by self-control and becoming unattached to material things and disregarding material enjoyments. That is the perfectional stage of renunciation. So he is telling, again, akarma is talking about in this Vichita. So now if you do that, what happens? You come to the Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. That means you will na shochati na kankshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labatta para. One who is thus transcendental situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman because he is in thing, he never laments and desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service to me. So that is very joyful state. It's like blissful state. Once you come into this state, Brahma Bhota Prasannatma. So spiritual life is quite joyful and not a thing for lamenting because you are always in the consciousness of the Supreme Lord. So this is the Bhasha. Then Bhaktya Mam Abhijanti Yavanchas Tashmi Tattvataha Tato Mam Tattvata Natha Vishate Tad Anantaram. So one who can understand the Supreme Personality has ease only by devotional service. So he says only by devotional service one can reach his abode. That is, we can enter into the kingdom of God. And that is the Param verdict of the Supreme Lord. That is a Parama Vacha. That means only devotional service is the path for going to the spiritual world, going to his abode. Though engaged in all activities, my devotee under my protection, because he gives the understanding and he will give you the shelter. So once you understand and the understanding to go him, then devotional service is the only way to go reach the for self-realization. Eternal, imperishable abode by my grace, only by his mercy. So, and there was a question here. It was an interesting question my Mataji was telling us. The one devotees were asking Prabhuji, why are you building ISKCON temples in the midst of the city? Because in New York and all that, they were in the middle of the city. And even US, everywhere, it was in the middle of the city. Never made them have temples outskirts, not in the outskirts. So he says, because in the midst of days, if you try to practice your yoga, your austerity, that is a test, isn't it? If you try to do your austerity practice or devotional work outside, that you will never know whether you are doing in the right path. So here it is doing in the middle of the city, which will really test your, it will be a real test for us, isn't it? So whether we are in the actually in the devotional service or not. So it is very important to be in that and try to practice our spiritual life in the amidst all these distractions. Okay. So, mat chitta sarva durgani, mat prasada tarishyasi, atachat tvam ahankara, shroshati vinakshasi. That means, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life. By my grace. Of our, you do not work in such consciousness. You act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So, even in this type of obstacles, if you are always conscious of me, you will be successful. So that's what he says. The choice is for us. Either you want to choose Krishna or Maya. So it doesn't depend where your temple is, whether it's in the midst of the city or outskirts. It's your choice, whether you want to be in the Krishna consciousness or you want to be under the spell of the Maya, isn't it? So here, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Rideshi Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayam Sarva Bhutani Etra Ridhani Mayaya. So it's a very long chapter. So because he's summarizing the whole thing. So now he is again reiterating. It is like we have seen this picture, no, where living entity, it's always into seeing this fruit, that fruit is testing is in the sense gratification. He doesn't realize there's a Paramatma is waiting for you to come back. And he's witnessing all your activities and he's trying to get your attention, but all your attention is somewhere else. So he says, I'm situated in everyone's heart and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. But we are not looking up. We're not looking aware of the Lord. So we have to schedule Krishna consciousness into our life. Only then we can keep thinking of him or to be in that consciousness. So, O son of Bharata, surrender unto me, unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain the transcendental peace and the supreme and the eternal good. So, he says, you surrender into me utterly. Then only we can utter surrender. Finally, he says that. So, then I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. So now you see how merciful he is. Ekdyanam akyatam guyat guyataram maya vimrishet asheshena etyashiti tashi tatokaro. Whatever you think about it and then do what you wish to do. So that's what the teacher says. Any teacher, good teacher, first gives you everything and then he tells you, you decide what you want to do. The choice is yours. He has explained everything and all aspects, all 360 degrees and any dimensions. It's not just 3 dimensions. He took and many multi-dimensional. He had addressed the doubts and he has explained. And he also talked about the lifestyle you should have and everything. And now he says to Arjuna, you decide what is yours. So, man mana bhava mad bhakto. This is a very important sloka. Madhyaji mam namaskaru mam evashyasi satyam te pratiyajnane priyos. Always think of me. That is the 4 things. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer a homage to me. Then you will come to me without fail. He is giving, I promise you this because you are my dear friend. So he is telling, this is his promise. What is his promise? That he will take you back. How? You have to always think of him, be his devotee, worship him, and pay homage. That means in whatever we are doing, we should always be in Krishna consciousness. We should always be worshipping him and things. So these are the 4 things. Then if you do it, we can 100%, not in 100, I think it's 200% more. You can, he says, I promise you this because you are my dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender. Because what happens, you'll always be considering, whether that is right, this thing, that. So when you dilly-dallying, he just says, just surrender into me and do these 4 things. I shall deliver you from all the sinful reactions. That means whatever we have been, I don't know how many janmas we had and all the karmic reactions. He says, do not fear. He is boldly telling this. So I will deliver you from all the sinful reactions. So that is the promise he is giving us, and he is giving the assurance and the confidence. So we just do whatever he is asking us to do. So this confidential knowledge may not be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, because such people will never understand this. Whatever we say, no, it won't. They will always be thinking of, they'll be in their own world, their own whims and fancies. So they won't do devotional service and they won't understand. So for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed. At the end, he will come back to me. So he says, not only they understand, and if they also explain this to the others, the other devotees also, this type of devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. So this is our prime example is our Srila Prabhupada, who spent all his life was all to preach this Krishna consciousness, and he was successful also. So there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Okay, this is a fine example we have in our midst, without doubt. I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So this Bhagavad Gita, hearing about it, understanding it, and trying to that, so we will be able to implement. It's not just a philosophical talk or anything, This is a message for us to adopt in our lifestyle. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the planets where the pious dwell. So he is giving us the assurance, and he is telling without fail, he will take us back, and our reactions also will be gone. So Arjuna Vacha, Nashta Moha Smritir Labdha Tvat Prasadan Mayachyuta Stito Satme Gata Sandeha Karishya Vachanam Tava. So, my dear Krishna, Arjuna says, my dear Krishna, oh infallible one, my illusion is gone. So, Moha is gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and I am now firm and free from doubt and prepared to act according to your instruction. So, finally, Arjuna says, I have now regained my memory. I am determined, and I will do as per your thing. Okay. So now what does Sanjaya say? Sanjaya says, you can see the beautiful expression on him now. He's so mesmerized by what he's been hearing, this conversation and everything. He says, I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on it. By mercy of Vyasa, he really thanks to Vyasa for giving, because of his mercy and having got this Divya Dikshi, I've heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of mysticism. That is directly what Krishna is telling to Arjuna. Personally, I am listening, whereas others were not able to listen, but he was able to listen. So O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. Whereas Dhritarashtra is not understanding. O king, when I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with even greater wonder, and I rejoice again and again and again. So finally he says, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Pato Dano Taraha, Tatra Shri Vijaya Bhute Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. That means wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mistakes, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will always be, certainly be opulence, Shri, victory, Vijay, extraordinary power, and morality. Morality is the dharma. That is my opinion. So Arjuna says this, and we also agree with this. So with this, we are ending this chapter, and also we are coming to the end of this 18 days journey. Yagna you all have done with me, with us in this class. So we have freedom from karma yoga, 5 factors of action, modes of 3 modes control everything, purification, platform, pure bhakti. Okay. So utter surrender. You have there are 4 things to do. Think of Krishna all the time, not just on time. Devotee, worship, be a devotee, worship him, pay homage. So why don't we allow Krishna into our lives? So that's a question we can reflect upon after all this. So Prabhupada says the process he's talking is to show Krishna consciousness as it is, and not others want to see it. It is what Krishna says. So be with us and continue to. And I have talked to you about ABCD principles, no? So please, association, books, that is books, then the chanting and the diet, the thing, and enroll thing, and enroll for level 2. You can be with us. So Vancha Kalpatru Abhyasa Cha Kripa Sindhu Abhyeva Cha Patitam Nam Pavanebho Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna.